Okay, so I was really thinking today about what are some lessons that I would want to share with you guys about what I've learned from my self-development, self-growth journey. And I kind of thought about it today and just wrote it down on a list. But one thing I do want to say is that the lessons that I learned from this is just the result from the consistent time, the consistent efforts that I put into myself. And you picking up these advices, like either from me, like just like this, or from other YouTubers or other gurus, whatever. The point is that they're not ingrained in you because you haven't actually gone through the actions, you haven't actually gone through the journey and the behaviors. So the point of this video is just for you to just keep them in your head whilst you're on that journey, or even if you're on that journey already. And just so you know, it makes it seem like I'm done with it, but I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still developing. So these are just some things that I wish I knew earlier, and maybe you are gonna understand it now, but that doesn't mean it's in you. Like, you really have to just go through that journey in order to pick up from these lessons, in order for them to be ingrained in you. So the first thing is I want to talk about the effects of physical exercise and nutrition, and I also educating yourself on this, because I found that when I really pushed myself in the gym, it kind of translated onto different areas of my life where suddenly I wanted to educate myself more on different topics. And I don't know the psychology behind this, but it's just what happened to me, where I started putting more effort into my studies. I started being more consistent with videos. So when I consistently started showing up to the gym, and I do want to speak about consistency, but that's my last point, I felt more confident also in myself, in my word, where if I said I'm going to go do something, I was going to go do it. And I trusted myself more. And that made me emphasize self-perception and how I viewed myself to a different level, to a different regard, where I started emphasizing myself more. And I never really did before, where I was just like, whatever. Like, I never really thought about myself in that way. And with nutrition too. So yeah, I'm a woman, and I want to speak a little bit and go like dip my toes into the standard for women and their physical appearance with confidence. Like, the beauty industry and the fitness industry is not $1 billion industry for no reason. Whether we want to admit it or not, women, and myself too, I feel like I have the standard that I have, like a standard and a role where I have to present myself a certain way, where I have to put an effort into my appearance. And this is just how it is. There's no point fighting it. Like, obviously women who are more attractive are seen as more desirable. And what is that effect called? It's like where people associate more positive things to you, things to that woman, because she's really desirable in the physical appearance state. So when I found, I was really overweight before, and when I found that I started putting more effort into my physical and nutritional appearance, none of these like 12-day diets, none of these like take a pill for that, these short circuit solutions that never work. When I truly put in emphasis and journey and effort into myself, I found that I was more confident physically, and it's just something that we don't have to be ashamed of or hide. Like, women just have that standard on themselves to present themselves this way, and I find that a lot of women are really insecure about themselves right now, and a lot of the reason behind this is weight problems. A lot of the reasons behind, and with weight problems, I feel like comes a lot of other psychological issues, where then your perception of yourself kind of is disorientated, if that makes sense, where you want to be that, you look at these people online and with social media too, and you're like, damn, I'm really not that. And that really does place, like, whether you want to admit it or not, we compare ourselves to people, and that really does affect us, especially as women, because we are a little more emotional. So I think really educating yourself on nutrition, and I'm not certified, so I'm going to link down the podcast that really helped me, the Andrew Huberman, Dr. Berg. These podcasts, they really made me aware and educated, and that's another point that I'm going to go into. Now, another thing that I really learned from really pushing myself because I also used to do professional sports. This is kind of where I picked up on this tip, is where feelings, they come and go. So instead of focusing on feelings, I'm letting them control you, because that's what happened to me. Like, my feelings, if I was like, I can't be asked to go do something, I just didn't do it. So focusing on your behaviors and your actions, because the reality is that you look at yourself, like if you have this identity of yourself that you want to fit, and if your actions and your behaviors don't fit that identity, then you start questioning yourself more. And I feel like that really plays in your confidence, where you're so uncertain about who you truly are. So having actions and behaviors, I guess, kind of back up that identity that you have of yourself in your head, is so crucial, generally so crucial. And this is where the next step, where you have to accept that your feelings are going to be changing on a daily basis. You're going to have to accept, not even on a daily basis, on hourly basis, on a minute basis, whatever. Your feelings are constantly changing. But that doesn't mean you have to use it as an excuse to just stop whatever you're doing, stop the things, the to-do lists that you have, that you know you objectively have to do, because that just makes you feel shit about yourself. And I guess that's just what ended up happening to me, is where I noticed that when I let my feelings control what I do on a daily basis, when I let my feelings control me, I feel like shit about myself. And that goes into the big picture, where your perception of yourself, not the perception of other people, is crucial for your own self-respect, and also just a byproduct of you focusing, I guess, also putting value into your appearance, and also putting out value into your education, and putting value into your own opinions. People pick up on that, where you don't have to fake it till you make it. You don't have to put out that version of yourself, that fake version of yourself, in order to seek that validation from people. Where when you start focusing on yourself, it will happen as the byproduct, where people will pick up on that subconsciously. So yeah, not diving away from my other point, your behaviors are essentially you, your actions are essentially you. The same way you judge other people for their actions and behaviors, why would that not apply to you? And I kind of want to touch on the topic where, for like relationships, where if you are looking for someone who really high status, really high value, ask yourself this question: are you that person? Are you, like, would that person be attracted to you in that sense? Are you high value? And then ask yourself what makes someone high value, and kind of go into that topic. But I'm not going to go into it in this video. But if you are interested in it, I would love to go into it. But ask yourself this question. Like, I think it comes down to asking yourself these hard questions. And my next point is being aware, and realizing how many distractions are in your way. Jesus Christ, I would distract myself like crazy, and I was never aware of this. I would never question myself. Simply picking up my phone, like, it was like automatic. Like, actually, I felt like a robot, where I would pick up my phone, and that would be a distraction. I would scroll on social media for hours. My screen time was crazy. However, it was also distracting myself with food, because I've also noticed that women, they do tend to have a bigger correlation with putting feelings and food kind of together, where if they're experiencing an emotion, whether it's happiness or doubt or like bonding, then they do tend to correlate it more with food. And that's what ended up happening to me, where a lot of, like, I didn't know how to cope with myself, and the byproduct of you not knowing how to cope with my own emotions, with my own feelings, and not being aware, like not being self-aware, was just the result of me having a high screen time, me eating a lot of processed foods, me being like a follower, just kind of picking up random opinions that I saw on social media, not questioning it. And these are just the results. Like, this is just the result of the fact, like on a deeper surface level, of where you just don't know yourself, and where you're just not aware of the flaws that you have going on. And it comes down, like, the only way you can fix this, and the only way that, like, okay, maybe there's other ways that I'm just not aware of, but what helped me was verbalizing, was journaling, was really picking up the camera and just talking to myself, and laying everything out on the table. I'm not sharing it with everyone. and forcing myself to ask myself these hard questions about what it is, what my behaviors or my current behaviors are telling me about myself, where I see myself in the future, what what do I have going for me? What are my flaws? What are my good sides? Like, not only being harsh on myself. Like, what are my strengths? Like, really asking myself and really verbalizing. One thing that I used to do was I used to pick a topic. Okay, I feel like this is kind of crazy, but I feel like I didn't think about things that deep in the past. In fact, there were moments there's times in my life where I remember not even thinking about things and just doing it and just being spontaneous and not being rational. And that's something, like, for me right now, this is something that's really important, where I want to see myself more as this rational person. And that distinction of me, again, that legit relates to my second point, where the behaviors and actions, they didn't correlate to the identity that I wanted to have. So asking yourself these hard questions and practicing, where I really, like, it's crazy, I can make a video about this, but I did not think as much. And what forced me to think was talking, verbalizing. I used to pick a topic and just have debates with myself from 2 points of, like, from two POVs on the topic, and kind of argue with myself and then come to a conclusion. And that really helped me, in my opinion. Like, that really kind of forced me. And also really dedicating time to just think. Like, okay, there's a difference between being distracted with yourself. So for example, if you're working and you find yourself getting distracted, forcing yourself to just stay on topic and being like, okay, I can come back to that thought after. And that really helped me, where I was like, okay, like, I have this thought, like, let me just write it down, and then I'll dedicate that time, like, whether it's in the evening, whatever, walking to like a bus, and then I'll think about it. So with distractions too, I was distracted with everything, like I said, with social media. And one of the first things I did when I started, you can look back on my earlier videos about social media, because I haven't had social media in, like, I think I've lost track. 1.5 years, 2 years. I deleted social media because I was like, damn, it's playing with my mind. I'm not contributing anything to it. All it's doing to me is just a high screen time where I feel like shit about myself because I was comparing myself to other people. So I was like, why not just eliminate it? Why not just make it easier for myself to succeed in? And that's okay. Another point that I didn't write down is environment. But it deserves a whole different video, and I think I already have videos on this, where environment is crucial. And if you can make it easier for yourself to succeed in, make it easier for yourself to succeed in. So when you start being self-aware, you start realizing how many things are distracting you from your purpose, how many things are distracting you from completing that task that you set for yourself. And even amidst me sitting down and working, I also find myself getting distracted, and I find myself getting distracted when I'm doing something hard. And the only way you can get better at something is by practicing. So you just have to continue doing something. You just have to continue it. You just have to continue doing the hard task to get better at it. So, okay, I kind of went off topic. I saw myself doing that, but I'm not gonna make a long video today to bore you guys. But if you do want me to dive deeper onto one of those topics, I will. Now, my last point is consistency. And the reason consistency is so important, because we as humans, we value the trait of consistency from other people. We value the trait where if someone says they're going to go do something, they're going to go do it. And if you can consistently show up for yourself in different parts of your life, I think it not only proves to yourself that you can do it and that you can achieve whatever you want to do, but it also teaches you so many lessons, that the same lessons I'm speaking about here, that you will have of your own, the same conclusions you'll make of your own, where there's no short thing, there's no short path. So this is another reason why watching all these YouTubers telling you about all these things that they learned from, they're not like they're important in the sense where you can kind of put it into your own life, but they're not important in the sense where they're not essentially you. They're not essentially something that you live by, and not essentially where you have your own experiences to demonstrate that lesson that you picked up on. So having experiences and having actions and having behaviors, I think that's kind of, to me, is the fundamentals of what's really important. Having all these different habits, whether you go to the gym, whether you eat healthy, whether you're starting a business and continuously and consistently showing up for it, it becomes you, it becomes your identity. And having an identity filled with a lot of different things and a lot of different hobbies and interests and experiences, I think it's so self-fulfilling. It's really self-fulfilling, and I think that's also what I'm really working towards, is building up all these experiences and building up all and making myself more interesting, I guess, to myself too, and also to other people. So I'm kind of ending it on this note. And again, I've talked about starting a community online where we just keep each other accountable and just talk about a lot of problems that different people have and kind of try to work through them together. And just having this little community of self-growth and self-development. I've talked about it in the past, but I kind of want to see if people would actually be interested in it. Like, enough people. I've seen people show their interest in it, but I want like enough people and to tell me if this is something that they would want to do and want to experience what, no, just join, and we'll go from there. So hopefully you guys learned something today, and if you do want me to dive deeper into one of those topics, I would love to. Just tell me which one. So hopefully you guys learned something today.